Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the University of Oklahoma and to the Institute for Quality Communities Placemaking Conference. I'm Shane Hampton, the Executive Director of the Institute, which we like to call the IQC. Before we begin today, I'd like to share the OU land acknowledgement. Long before the University of Oklahoma was established, the land on which the university resides was the traditional home of the Hassaneas Caddo Nation and the Kittakidish, Wichita, and affiliated tribes. We acknowledge this territory once served as hunting ground, trade exchange point, and migration route for the Apache, Comanche, Kiowa, and Osage nations. Today, 39 tribal nations dwell in the state of Oklahoma as a result of settler and colonial policies designed to assimilate Native people. The University of Oklahoma recognizes the historical connection our university has with its indigenous community. We acknowledge, honor, and respect the diverse indigenous peoples connected to this land, and we fully recognize, support, and advocate for the sovereign rights of Oklahoma's 39 tribal nations. The acknowledgement is aligned with our university's core value of creating a diverse and inclusive community. It's an institutional responsibility to recognize and acknowledge the people, cultures, and histories that make up our entire OU community. And I can tell you, as a community engagement component of the Gibbs College of Architecture at IQC, we are fortunate to partner with tribal nations and Native individuals across Oklahoma as a plan to see how they're working toward quality communities for Oklahomans. So, believe it or not, it's been 10 years since we brought a group like this together for the first time in 2013. I'm curious, show of hands, who was there in 2013? Okay, quite a few folks. I think that was the rain year. Is that right? Does that sound right? Okay. Everybody looked great at lunch over at the ballroom, soaking wet, I think. So we've continued this tradition every other year. We skipped 2021, of course, but this makes this year's event a milestone in a couple of ways. We are here at the 10th, it's 10 years since our first event, and also the 5th conference that we have hosted here. When we are not planning this conference, our team is traveling around Oklahoma. We're working everywhere from the heart of urban neighborhoods to some of the smallest communities in our state. We're collaborating with professionals, with leaders, and also just with day-to-day advocates or volunteers who are trying to make their community stronger in some way. They have different scenarios they deal with, they have different approaches to their work, but they're all united by that common goal. We kind of log a lot of miles in our big white van with the OU logo on the side. I know we visited many of your communities, but what we're doing when we're on the road is keeping track of what conversations we're having with you. We want to know what you're working on out there. We want to know how you're feeling and how you're doing in that work, because this is tough work. You're always continuing to press on. And we are also thinking about what you might need to look at on the horizon in terms of what's next for your communities. That is really the basis of how we narrow down a selection of speakers that we think would be wonderful to bring to this stage in Norman, and that can help provide insights and context and experience for you to encourage you on your work. Before we begin the program, I'd also like to recognize all of our sponsors for the program. So the organizations that you'll see flash behind me throughout the day have collectively contributed more than $25,000 towards today's program. So if you are with one of these sponsor groups, thank you so much for supporting this event. We cannot do it without you. I'd like to just share a list of those now. So AARP Oklahoma is here. Thank you for your sponsorship, and they also have some livable community resources available at the table out in the foyer. So on your way to lunch, make sure to stop by the sponsor table and check out what materials our sponsors have left for you. Also the Oklahoma Municipal League, the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, Oklahoma City branch, Guernsey, HAF, Johnson & Associates, the Norman Arts Council, the Oklahoma City Metropolitan Association of Realtors, TSW, the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust, or TSET, Wheeler Districts, Visit Norman, and finally the Bruce Goff Chair of Creative Architecture at the Christopher C. Gibbs College of Architecture. Also just want to acknowledge a couple of other special guests and donors who have really supported our event this year. So thank you to Rick and Amanda Smith for your contributions, as well as Cherie C.W. Westcott. Many others have contributed to this program as well. And of course, I want to thank everyone who's here, because if people didn't register, we couldn't make this work. So every little $40 registration, we try to keep that low so that people can come from all over our community. We know there's travel expenses and time away from work on top of the registration fee, but we depend on you to make this conference happen. I'd also like to recognize the IQC team. So you'll hear later today from Vanessa Morrison, the Associate Director, and Ron France, the Director of Small Town Studios. You maybe saw in her matching pink suit our PhD fellow, Rebecca Blaine, out front, helping everyone check in. She's been essential to our guest services for the conference, and a bunch of other folks from the Gibbs College team, university staff, and student volunteers. So now it's my pleasure to introduce the Dean of the Christopher C. Gibbs College of Architecture, Hans E. Butzer. Dean Butzer is an award-winning architect, educator, developer, and co-founder of Butzer Architects and Urbanism, together with his partner, Tori A. Butzer. A nationally recognized teacher and architect, Dean Butzer is widely known for his role in the design or visioning of key public sites: the Skydance Bridge, a pedestrian bridge spanning U.S. Interstate 40 to connect Oklahoma City's downtown to the Oklahoma River; landmark buildings in Oklahoma City's new 70-acre Scissortail Park; the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Training Facility on the Oklahoma River; and the Oklahoma City National Memorial. Dean Butzer began teaching at OU in 1999, and he's known for advocating for excellence in public architecture. Please welcome Dean Butzer.
Thank you, Shane, and good morning, all of you. And thank you for making time on a beautiful winter morning, for joining us so we can reflect on how we strengthen our cities and towns and the landscapes that connect them. Many future leaders who will join us in this ongoing work across the state and across the United States are here in the audience today, namely our students at the OU Christopher C. Gibbs College of Architecture. Students, are there any students out here in the audience? If so, stand and be recognized. You guys are some of the reasons we do this for our communities today and for them and their communities tomorrow. So thank you, students, for being here. So Gibbs College is home to programs in architecture, construction science, environmental design, interior design, landscape architecture, regional and city planning, and urban design. We develop graduates who are prepared to advance more professions, to improve their communities, and contribute to more diverse and equitable societies. With our students, we engage and explore places such as New York City, Rome, and Uganda, among others, where they learn about perspectives different from their own. Because of the differences they discover, our students are better able to appreciate how important it is to listen while helping solve global challenges together. We also support our students as they engage locally in neighborhoods or downtowns of Oklahoma. For example, 13 of our interior design students recently presented concepts to the National African American Jazz Legacy Museum for a possibly new facility to be housed in an historic church structure in Northeast Oklahoma City. At a recent OU GIS Day, one of our Gibbs College students was recognized for their research on how city planners in our state can enhance accessibility to civic resources for individuals with dementia and other cognitive disabilities. Distinguished faculty are essential to our students' success and impact in industry and society. Gibbs College faculty advance research in the areas of equity and resilience, health and well-being, and entrepreneurship and engagement. One such faculty member is currently conducting NASA-sponsored research that will help identify heat-vulnerable populations and define a spatial decision support system to promote heat-related policy-making processes. 2 teams are currently involved from our Gibbs College related to a combined $2 million in sponsored funding to develop strategies that address housing shortages and needs in Oklahoma. So you can see that our students, faculty, and staff are actively on the front lines, supporting communities everywhere to transform and improve lives. The Institute for Quality Communities and this Placemaking Conference are an extension of the Gibbs College of Architecture's commitment to serving Oklahoma through the pursuit of new knowledge. Founded in 2008, IQC provides community design and development assistance to Oklahoma towns and cities. The Institute trains students in the field, working on local projects with partners like you, the Oklahoma Municipal League, the Association of Central Oklahoma Governments, the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust, Oklahoma Main Street, and many more local groups and organizations. At the invitation of local partners, IQC teams of students, faculty, and staff facilitate community conversations and develop conceptual recommendations. Recently, IQC teams have been working on a vision for a multi-purpose outdoor plaza at the Miami Public Library, or revitalization strategies for downtown Harrow and Westville, and an adaptive reuse concept for the historic Jewel Theater in Northeast Oklahoma City. All totaled, more than 300 students and 20 faculty and staff participated in 11 IQC assistant projects just this last year alone. That's 300 students, 20 faculty. In this effort, they accumulated more than 6,000 miles of travel across this great state. So let's give a hand to the IQC. And this last highlight deserves everyone's attention here this morning. The IQC will soon be accepting proposals from communities who would like to partner with them during the 2023-2024 year. So, please visit the IQC website soon for details and submit your application. We look forward to potentially partnering with you this coming year. And so now, I direct my attention to the next phase of our morning program. My pleasure to introduce the president of the University of Oklahoma, Joseph Harris, Jr. He always deserves an applause. He has served the university for over 26 years in various leadership roles and was named the 15th president of OU in May 2020. Please help me welcome, once again, OU President Joseph Harris, Jr.
Well, it's a real pleasure to deliver the keynote address at today's conference. Yeah, that would be ridiculous. I'm well aware that I am the least expert person here in placemaking. I do want to say, though, what an absolute joy it is to be here and to provide the welcome, not the keynote. What happens in the IQC is remarkable. You heard from the dean talking about what it does, and I just want to thank Shane Hampton for all the work that goes into this and the team and all of those involved. Let's acknowledge them for the work they do. These conferences take a lot of work too. In addition to all the other work that you're doing, years ago, I think it was the mid-'90s, I read a book that fundamentally influenced my views on this, which I understand from a conversation just prior to walking up here is actually still of some use, and that is Geography of Nowhere by Kunstler. And it's a short work, and I read it, and it resonated with me in so many fundamental ways. And when I think about this conference and the IQC and how it plays into the larger role of the university, it actually, to me, is fascinating how important it is and how it attaches to the very essence of the university. During the pandemic, we worked on a strategic plan for the university. And I will not go through all of it unless you're inattentive. But in looking at it, we started off with what is the essence of a university. And in doing that, we talked about teaching and research and service and patient care at the university, and realized that wasn't really the essence of the university. The essence was we boiled down to 3 words, which is we change lives, right, as the essence of what we do. When I think about this conference and about the Institute, we then, it goes from 3 words, our purpose, we change lives, all the way down to 127 tactics. But there are 5 pillars of what we are and who we are as a university. And if you are really interested, you can go to ou.edu/lead on, and you can read through the entire strategic plan. But if you look at the Institute and where this conference fits, each of the 5 pillars that we have as a university are advanced by the Institute, and certainly by this conference as well, right? The idea of becoming a place of true academic excellence in our move to AAU status. That's pillar 1. Pillar 5, right, is impacting through research and scholarly activity our state, our communities, and the world as a whole. And then we talk about being a place of true belonging as one of those 5 pillars, right? In a place where students learn how they can positively impact the world around them, and how you do that, not just through your actions, but the spaces that you create and the environments that you create as a whole. And then the 5th of those 5, this idea at the heart of all of this, being a place where everyone feels as though they have the opportunity to be there, where they're not excluded in some way. So when we think about this conference, I was surprised to see how many of you all raised your hand. Some of you may be liars. But surprised to see how many raised your hands that you were here for the first one of these 10 years ago. Right? I mean, to me, it's incredibly encouraging, because it shows your commitment to this idea of placemaking. And to me, that's exciting, because we know how important spaces are, right? How important creating communities are, and all of those things that you can do to create those attachments that create what we want, which is a place where you feel like you belong. We know that students, and we also know that as adults that are not students, as you go on in your careers, that you can be included and still not feel as though you belong. And you can be in a place and not be inspired. And we know what the idea of great public works. We know what the idea of spaces that connect us and make us feel connected as humans, and how important that is. And all of us saw this in unbelievably dramatic fashion during the pandemic, when isolationism reached a new high. So as we're here today, it is an absolute blessing to once again be together in person, to have 600 of you here today for today's conference from 40 different counties of the 77 in Oklahoma, from the 6 surrounding states. I just want to say welcome to the University of Oklahoma, and thank you for the commitment you've made personally and professionally, for making sure that our most important need to be together is manifested in a way that is as meaningful as possible. So thank you very much, and look forward to hearing the day's events. All the best.